The Krell fortress burned like a dying star against Karos 9's ash-gray sky. Captain Reese Calder sprinted through the collapsing corridors, his pulse rifle barking short bursts as returning fire from 4 armed Krell warriors scorched the walls around him. His strike team had punched deep into enemy territory too deep. Now they were bleeding bodies on the extraction. Captain! Secondary Command Center, East Wing. Sergeant Mora's voice crackled through his helmet. Reese pivoted, boots skidding on gore-slicked metal. The fortress shuddered as Alliance artillery hammered its shields. Through the smoke, he glimpsed the ornate doorway Mora had marked ceremonial, not tactical. Wrong for a military installation. His combat instincts screamed trap. But intelligence had been clear. Hit hard, hit fast. Capture any high-value targets. He kicked the door open. Rifle raised. The chamber beyond was opulent crimson banners bearing the Voss clan sigil, weapons racks displaying ancient blades. And huddled in the corner, clutching a ceremonial dagger with trembling claws, was a Krell juvenile. Navy blue skin gleamed with fear sweat beneath armor too large for her frame. Blonde hair rare among Krell spilled across her narrow shoulders. Her vertical pupils dilated as she hissed at him, brandishing the blade. Contact. One juvenile, possibly civilian. Reese barked into comms. She lunged. Clumsy, desperate. Reese sidestepped and swept her legs, disarming her in 2 efficient moves. She crashed down, snarling in their guttural language. Up close, he saw the ceremonial markings on her armor royal crests. His tactical computer pinged recognition. Genetic match to Supreme Warlord Dracos's Voss. Holy hell, he whispered. Intel, we've got the Warlord's daughter. The response was immediate. Secure her. Alive. That's your new primary objective, Captain. Outside, plasma fire intensified. The fortress was coming apart. Reese zip-tied the thrashing Krell girl's claws and hauled her over his shoulder. She weighed less than expected, maybe 16 in human years, gangly and underfed despite her noble blood. Exfil now. Buildings coming down. Mora shouted. Reese ran. The girl screamed curses he didn't need to translate. Behind them, a support beam collapsed in a shower of sparks. He dove through a blown-out wall as the secondary explosion lit up the night. His dropship hovered 50 meters away, ramped down. Gunners laying suppressing fire. Krell warriors emerged from the smoke, roaring vengeance. Their plasma bolts superheated the air. One caught Private Yates in the chest, burning through armor like paper. Reese returned fire one-handed, the girl still struggling on his shoulder. 20 meters. 10. A Krell Death Squad leader massive, scarred. 3 of his 4 arms clutching weapons-locked eyes with Reese. Recognition flashed across his reptilian features as he saw who the human carried. His roar shook the ground. Reese hurled himself up the ramp. Go, go, go! The dropship screamed skyward as missile trails converged below. The girl stopped struggling, staring back at her burning home. In the red light of destruction, Reese saw tears cut tracks through. The soot on her navy blue cheeks. The war had just changed. The armored convoy crawled through the shattered belt. Debris field of dead ships and broken stations where neither side held dominion. Reese stood guard outside the reinforced cell where Lyra Voss sat in hostile silence, her navy blue skin bruised from the extraction. 3 days into their journey to the negotiation moon, and she hadn't spoken a word of Terran. Captain. Lieutenant Hayes approached, his expression grim. Long-range sensors picked up a Krell hunter pack. 4 frigates, closing fast. Reese checked his rifle charge. Battle stations. Keep the convoy tight. The attack came screaming out of the asteroid field. Krell plasma cannons tore into the convoy's rear guard, vaporizing an escort frigate in a brilliant flash. The transport shuddered as point defense systems engaged, filling space with tracer fire. Hull breach, Deck 3. Someone screamed over COMMS. Reese moved. He unlocked Lyra's cell and hauled her to her feet. Her eyes widened fear or fury, he couldn't tell. "Move," he growled, pulling her toward the emergency bulkheads. They'd barely cleared the corridor when the hull ruptured. Atmosphere shrieked out through jagged metal. Reese slammed the emergency seal, his armor compensating for the sudden decompression. Lyra gasped, her lighter armor struggling. Without thinking, Reese activated his suit's emergency oxygen share and clamped the breather mask over her face. She stared at him, stunned. "Don't read into it," he muttered. "You die. This whole mission's worthless." The ship lurched. Through the viewport, he watched a Krell frigate close for the kill. Then Alliance reinforcements dropped out of hyperspace, 2 destroyers with guns blazing. The Krell scattered into the asteroid field, plasma fire turning space into a light show, but the victory was Pyrrhic. The convoy had lost 2 ships and 30 crew. The main transport was crippled, limping on auxiliary power. Reese guided Lyra through the damaged sections, her bound claws gripping his armor as they navigated floating debris and bodies. In the ruined medbay, they found Sergeant Mora bleeding from a shrapnel wound. Reese moved to help, but Lyra suddenly knelt beside the injured woman. Her claws, still zip-tied but flexible, pressed against the wound with surprising gentleness. She spoke in Krell, then tried broken Terran. "Pressure. Stop." "Blood?" Mora stared up at the alien princess trying to save her life. Reese handed Lyra a trauma pack. "Like this," he demonstrated. She learned fast. Between them, they stabilized Mora until the medics arrived. As they worked, human soldiers watched in silence, some with gratitude, others with disgust. That night, Reese found Lyra staring out a viewport at the wreckage floating in space. "Your people came for you," he said quietly. "Father's warriors," she replied in halting Terran, her first real words to him. "They fail. You did not." She touched the oxygen mask he'd given her. "Why?" Reese thought of Yates, burning, of Mora, bleeding. "Because that's what we do," he said. "We don't leave people behind. Even enemies." Her vertical pupils studied him. Strange honor. The derelict station Prometheus 7 hung in space like a corpse, its lights long dead. The convoy needed repairs before attempting the final jump to neutral space. Reese didn't like it. Too many shadows, too many corridors where threats could hide. But the ship's engines were failing, and the alternative was death by slow decompression. "Sweep and clear every section," he ordered his squad. "Lyra stays with me." The Krell girl had become his shadow over the past week, her navy blue skin now marked with cuts and bruises from their running battle. Her blonde hair was tied back in a human military style, something she'd observed and copied. She'd stopped hissing at him, started asking questions and improving Terran. Why humans buried their dead. Why they sang before battles. Why Reese wore a battered photo in his helmet, his sister. Lost when the Krell glassed New Gdansk. She'd gone very quiet when he told her that now they moved through Prometheus 7's dead halls. Reese's rifle light cutting through the darkness. Lyra stayed close, carrying a human sidearm he'd taught her to use. "This is wrong," she whispered. "Too quiet." Reese agreed. His tactical sense screamed ambush. Then the first shot came not from Krell, but from humans. Hardliners. Extremists who saw the convoy's mission as treason. "Kill the alien bitch." Someone roared. Rifle fire erupted from the catwalks above. Reese threw Lyra behind a cargo container and returned fire. His squad scattered, seeking cover. 3 hardliners rappelled down, assault rifles blazing. Corporal Tang took a round to the shoulder, spinning down. Reese put 2 bullets center mass into her attacker. They're our own people. Mora shouted, horror in her voice. Not anymore, Reese snarled. A grenade clattered across the deck. He kicked it away. It detonated, shrapnel peppering his armor. Through the smoke, he saw more hardliners flooding in. At least a dozen, maybe more. They'd hidden on the station, waiting. Then Lyra moved. She burst from cover with inhuman speed, her clawed feet finding purchase on the wall. She ran vertically, defying gravity, the way only Krell could in low-G environments. A hardliner swung his rifle toward her. She kicked off, twisting midair, and her sidearm barked twice. Perfect shots, exactly as Reese had taught her. The man fell. She landed beside Reese, breathing hard. You save me. I save you. Together they held the line. Reese's precision shooting paired with Lyra's inhuman agility created a devastating combination. The hardliners had expected a terrified prisoner, not a warrior princess learning human tactics. When Sergeant Mora rallied the squad and hit them from behind, the ambush collapsed. They found the hardliner commander dying in a pool of blood. He spat at Lyra. Monster. Should have burned with your kind. Lyra stared down at him, her expression unreadable. Then she knelt and closed his eyes when he died. He thought he protected his people, she said softly. Like you protect yours. Like father protects mine, she looked at Reese. This war, maybe everyone thinks they are right. Reese had no answer to that. The convoy limped into the neutral zone with engines failing and hull breaches sealed by hope and duct tape. The negotiation moon hung ahead, a barren rock claimed by neither side, where diplomacy's last desperate chance waited. Reese stood on the bridge, watching Krell warships materialize from hyperspace. Massive, predatory vessels bristling with weapons. At their center, the flagship Bloodclaw Supreme Warlord Dracos Voss's personal dreadnought. They're hailing, the comms officer reported, voice tight. Audio only. It's him. The warlord's voice filled the bridge like thunder, deep, inhuman, vibrating with barely contained rage. He spoke in perfect Terran. Return my daughter unharmed, and perhaps your deaths will be swift. Reese keyed his mic. She's alive and well. You have my word. The word of a human? Dracos laughed a terrible sound. Your kind glassed Krell nursery worlds. Your missiles poisoned our breeding grounds. You forfeited honor when you chose extinction over surrender. We fight because you invaded our colonies, Reese shot back. Because your fleets killed billions. Don't talk to me about honor, Warlord. Silence. Then, bring her to the surface, alone. Not happening, Reese said. Neutral ground means, father. Lyra's voice cut through. She'd entered the bridge, still wearing human combat fatigues, her navy blue skin marked with healing scars. She spoke in Krell, her tone formal. Then switched to Terran. I will go with Captain Calder. He has earned this right. The warlord's growl rattled the speakers. This human has touched you, held you, dishonored you with his. He saved me. Lyra snapped, her voice sharp with authority Reese hadn't heard before. Through fire and void and treachery from his own kind. He bled for me, father. He gave me his air when mine failed. He taught me strength. He is, she searched for words, honorable. By Krell law, you owe him blood debt. The silence stretched eternal. Finally, surface. 1 hour. Come armed, I expect no less from a warrior. But know that if this is deception, human, I will burn your worlds to cinders and dance in the ash. The landing shuttle dropped through atmosphere. Just Reese and Lyra. She was quiet, gripping the armrests with white-knuckled claws. I have not seen father since I was taken, she admitted. He will be angry. You should not have agreed to this. Reese checked his sidearm. a futile gesture against a Krell honor guard, but old habits died hard. You stood with me against those hardliners. Figured I owed you. We are even then, maybe. The shuttle settled on barren rock. Through the viewport, Reese saw them. Supreme Warlord Dracos' Voss, towering and terrible in full war armor, his 4 arms carrying ancient clan weapons. Behind him, an honor guard of the Dominion's deadliest warriors. All eyes on the shuttle. All weapons ready. Reese took a breath. Let's go meet your father. The ramp descended with a hydraulic hiss. Reese stepped out first, rifle slung but accessible, every instinct screaming at the suicide of facing a Krell warlord on open ground. Behind him, Lyra emerged, her blonde hair catching the harsh light of the moon's twin suns. Supreme Warlord. Dracos' Voss stood like a monument to war itself. Nearly 8 feet tall, his navy blue skin darker than Lyra's, scarred by centuries of battle, seemed to absorb light. His crimson eyes burned with the fury of glassed worlds and dead children. All 4 arms tensed, claws extended. Father, Lyra said in Krell, her voice formal. She walked forward, not running, maintaining the dignity her station demanded. Dracos' gaze never left Reese. You dare bring weapons to this meeting, human? You brought an army, Reese replied evenly. Seemed rude to come empty-handed. One of the honor guards snarled and moved forward. Dracos stopped him with a gesture. Lyra, come. She glanced back at Reese, then crossed the space to her father. Dracos' expression, alien, unreadable to humans, seemed to fracture as he looked at his daughter. One massive hand touched her face with surprising gentleness, claws retracted. He spoke in rapid Krell, questions tumbling out. She answered, gesturing back at Reese. The warlord's eyes narrowed. She says you protected her from your own people, that you bled beside her, that you shared food when you were starving, that you taught her human battle forms. He stepped forward, towering over Reese. She says you are honorable. Reese stood his ground. I did my duty. Your duty was to capture a hostage. You did more. Dracos circled him like a predator. In Krell culture, we understand strength. We understand duty. But honor? True honor? He gestured at his daughter. To guard an enemy's child through hell itself, to turn your weapons on your own kind to keep her safe. This is honor beyond duty. This is Daketh, blood debt. The honor guard stirred, some with approval, others with barely contained rage. Alliance observers watched from their own shuttle, hands on weapons, ready for the massacre everyone expected. Dracos' extended one hand palm up, claws retracted. A gesture of equals. I came here to retrieve my daughter and burn your convoy to ash. Instead, I find she has learned war from a human who fights like Krell should with honor above hatred. Reese stared at the offered hand. Taking it would brand him traitor in the eyes of some humans. Refusing would trigger the bloodbath. Lyra watched, barely breathing. He clasped the warlord's hand. Sir, Dracos' grip could have crushed steel. 3 sectors will be withdrawn from. Silent acknowledgement of blood debt, nothing more. The war continues, Captain Reese Calder. But you have earned something no human has. A Krell warlord knows your name. He released Reese's hand. Pray we do not meet in battle. Same to you, warlord. As Reese walked back to his shuttle, Lyra called out in Terran, Thank you. For seeing me as more than enemy. Reese paused. Thank you for doing the same. The shuttles lifted off from opposite sides of history, carrying the weight of one impossible mercy across the galaxy's cruelest war and the faint, fragile hope that even enemies could remember each other's names. The end.